Come, Holy Spirit, and warm our hearts at the hearing of your word. Write that word upon our hearts and put it upon our lips that we may proclaim good news through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. My daughter's birthday is next week, and that occasion gave rise to some reflections on my part during this past week. When I was newly ordained, my wife and I left the University of the South at Sewanee and moved to Carrollton, Georgia, where I was to become the vicar of St. Margaret's. I remember the move because one small trailer transported what we owned: a bedroom suite, a sofa, and a 12-inch screen TV. It also traveled with my 6-month pregnant wife. St. Margaret's owned a small frame 2-bedroom house in, a small subdivision near West Georgia College. It was the smallest house in the subdivision, and we gladly moved in. It was our first home. We spent most Saturdays shopping used furniture places, bargain barns, cast off, collected a used baby bed, a used bassinet that all needed refinishing and refurbishing, setting about to set up house. Our next door neighbor were the Sturts, Jean and Bob. There are 3 children, 2 of whom are nearing adolescence. An old Carrollton family. Their house was much larger. And they had a maid, Nellie. Nellie had been in the family for generations. She had raised Jean's 3 children, kept the house in good shape, and she was Jean's gift to us. We had been home from the hospital about 2 hours when Nellie waddled through the backyard, up the steps, and in the back door. All 5 feet, 200 pounds of her. Mumbling, always mumbling, of which I'll speak later. She came in the back door, looked around, surveyed the scene, and the words out of her mouth were, "Lord, have mercy." Lord, have mercy. It took her 2 hours. In 2 hours' time, she had given a demonstration of how you use a bassinet as a storage bin, how you bathe a baby in the kitchen sink. Don't know about no bassinets. Gave pointers on breastfeeding, prepared lunch, and left it in the fridge. 2 hours flat. As she went down the back steps, I heard her mum, "Lord, have mercy." As I sat in front of the TV last Sunday evening, watching that drama unfold, all I could think of was, "Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy." In medieval times, when villages were threatened by both natural disasters and by man-made terror, by flooding, drought, marauding robbers, invading armies, the villagers would gather on the edge of the village, and they would beat the bounds. Beat the bounds. They would march around the perimeter of the village, stopping every few yards and offering a prayer for deliverance. Prayers for rain when there was a drought. Prayers for the ceasing of rain, as they are in places on the Gulf Coast this very minute. They prayed for protection against roving robbers, invading armies. But they prayed. Each stop, it was their litany. And the last thing at the end of each prayer was, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. So once again, we are reminded that we are not in charge. We are not the rulers of our world. Our rulers in which there is violence, battle, and murder. And that line from the litany, O Lord, protect us from dying suddenly and unprepared. Good Lord, deliver us. In the days to come, hopefully answers to our many questions of why may emerge. But I'm not sure that we will ever know what was going on in the mind of the sniper. There is already strident voices of those who propose simple solutions to essentially a senseless act. The NRA and the gun rights folks are squaring off for their annual battle. Sensible legislation is always welcomed, but it is not a cure for craziness. Do you remember the first recorded murder in history? It's right there in the first book of the Bible. Cain murdered Abel with a rock. Again, it is coincidental that our first lesson on this day, a week after that tragedy, is the story of Moses giving to the new people of God the rules by which they are to live. He gathered the people together and he said, you will live together as a people, living in peace and mutual support. There are 10 rules. The first 4 proclaim who you belong to. Beginning with, I am your God, and there will be no other gods but me. This is who you are. You and I are a people who belong to God. We are God's. That's what baptism is all about. When we give a name, make the sign of the cross on the forehead, and say, from now, forever, you are God's person. And then Moses goes on to say, although you belong to God, you live with each other. You got to live with each other. And there are 6 rules that you must obey. 6 rules. Among them is you shall do no murder. But the overriding message, even when the rules are broken, the first four always stand. You are mine, and you belong to me. Honor your father and mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet what is not yours. And it ends, Lord, have mercy and incline our hearts to keep these laws. Lord, have mercy. I remind you that we are God's people, loved and watched over by the grace of God. We mourn our senseless tragedy that is the latest in what appears to be a continuing eruption of evil. If you want to know what evil looks like, sit down and look at that reporting from Las Vegas. The last time I used the litany on a Sunday morning was September the 11th, 2001. Our affirmation of faith is that this is indeed God's world, and we are God's people. And once again, our cry is, Lord, have mercy. Please, Lord. Amen.